Next, we're now joined by Dr. Mustafa Yusuf Ali, who's a scholar of international relations, specializing in security issues in the Horn of Africa region. Dr. Yusuf Ali, thank you very much indeed for joining us. With all these warnings, could anything have been done? I guess trying to find where the threats are might be looking for a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, it is very hard, even with the warnings and travel advisories from various Western countries. And it is very difficult to tell when an actual attack or where an actual attack can take place. These groups, Alshabab and many other terrorist groups, they normally attack by surprise. And when there is no intelligence, especially local grassroots intelligence on the ground, it becomes very difficult to thwart such kind of attacks, like the one that happened today that took the lives of many Kenyans.
Using these improvised explosive devices and allowing vehicles to travel over them, is this an MO of Alshabab, or we have no idea at this stage still who might be responsible?
Yeah, it is. It bears all the hallmarks of Alshabab terrorist group, which operates mainly from Somalia. They have been carrying out such kind of attacks in the last 8-9 years inside Somalia and on the Kenyan soil. They have previously used IEDs on the same very spot that they attacked again today, and in many other parts of the country, including coastal Kenya.
What does this tell us then about Kenya's ability to protect its citizens and this insurgency?
Well, the security agencies have been trained to handle such kind of attacks and to be able to deal with this nature of attacks. Intelligence in northeastern Kenya, the coast of Kenya has been beefed up. But somehow this group still manages to either cross into Kenya and set up these IEDs, or are using local contacts in those parts of Kenya where they use them to carry and set up these IEDs against local targets in Mandera and in the coast of Kenya. In this case, the one that happened today, right inside Kenya, of course, close to the border with Somalia.
I mean, where it is located, the chances are that there might have been Muslim people in the taxis. Is this not something that a supposedly Muslim group would worry about?
Oh, well, Al-Shabaab is known to be killing people indiscriminately, regardless of one's religion. They've killed thousands of Somalis who happen to be 100% Muslims. And when they come to Kenya, they purport to target non-Muslims in order for them, their strategy is to create anarchy or fight or conflict between Muslims and Christians mainly. So this group knows what it's doing in Somalia. It knows what it's doing in Kenya. They basically thrive on anarchy.
What do we know about, I mean, with all these reports coming out, is this a periodic time, or is this a season for this, or do they just come and go randomly?
January, February is normally a season for terrorist attacks in Kenya by Al-Shabaab group. Over the last 4 or 5 years, they've always been attacking in January. If they don't attack during December holidays, And so this has been a hallmark in terms of planning, execution, from the Dusit 14 Riverside attack, which happened in January, the attack on the American camp in Lamu, in Manda, happened in January, attacks in Somalia on Kenyan KDF camps happened in January. So it appears that they have perfected or have been carrying out attacks in January throughout the years.
Kenya's involvement in Somalia, if that was to come to an end, would this be the end of insurgencies inside Kenya, or it's just cheap talk by militants like Al-Shabaab?
I don't think it's going to be the end of Al-Shabaab attacks in Kenya if KDF pulled out of Somalia. Kenya's defense forces is part of the multinational AMISOM mission inside Somalia, and so it's difficult to tell why if Kenya pulled out of Somalia, whether the attacks are going to stop. Ethiopia is also in Somalia in other sectors, but there have really never been attacks by Al-Shabaab inside Ethiopia. And so there must be something else that is driving this terrorist group to fight and to target Kenya other than its presence in Somalia.
My first trip to Kenya was 1996, I think. And over the years, the one thing I've started to notice more and more is the amount of security, the amount of checks, going into shops and things like this. And I just wonder is this going to be life for the foreseeable, or how does this end?
Well, it appears that the security checks in supermarkets, virtually all places frequented by many people, government officials, is going to be a way of life in Kenya as long as this threat persists. These terrorist groups take advantage. The moment you put your guard down, then that's the time they actually increase their attacks on you. And the places that they've been attacking recently have had minimal security checks, surveillance, and visible security. So we expect that this is going to be the way of life in the coming years until this group is significantly degraded and their military capability diminished to a point where they just become an irritant rather than a force to reckon with.
But can they be defeated? I mean, Somalia itself, it pretty much has been overrun outside of Addis Ababa. I mean, outside of the capital of Somalia, Mogadishu. And how can we expect there to be some kind of victory against such a big group?
I think the strategy that has been used has been overwhelmingly the deployment of hard power. Hard power is necessary, but only to an extent. There is need to deploy more soft power. There is need to focus more on violent extremism. There is need to focus more on drying up the pools of recruitment, where these groups get young people to join the ranks and file of Al-Shabaab. There is need to cut off financing that goes to the terrorist group. So there is quite a raft of measures that should be ratcheted up, that should be increased in order to deny these groups the necessary finances, the necessary funding, and young people that normally join these groups. So all these approaches have not been sufficiently been addressed, and I hope that the governments in the region, the Africa Union, IGAD, will focus a lot more on countering violent extremism, recruiting the pool from which it recruits from, and more importantly, ideological pushback. This group thrives on an ideology based on manipulation of Islam. And it's very important to actually counter that manipulation, misrepresentation of Islam, so that many young people that would otherwise join Al-Shabaab do not do so.
And sadly, in the meantime, we can expect more terrorist activities such as the one we've witnessed.
Unfortunately, yes.
All right. We're going to have to leave it there. Dr. Mustafa Yusuf Ali, thank you so much indeed for joining us. Always good to talk to you.